He never saw it coming. She had been sitting across from him for 40 minutes, laughing at the right moments, leaning in slightly when he spoke, her eyes holding his just a half second longer than they needed to. And then quietly, almost like an afterthought, she asked him two questions, simple questions, innocent-sounding questions. He answered both of them completely wrong, not because he was boring, not because he lacked charm, not because she was out of his league. He answered wrong because he had no idea, not even a flicker of suspicion, that those two questions were the most important things she would ever ask him. 3 weeks later, she was emotionally invested in someone else entirely, and he still does not know why. That story is not a tragedy. It is a pattern. It repeats itself constantly, silently, invisibly and dinner parties, in quiet conversations after work, in text threads that slowly go cold without a single word of explanation. It happens to intelligent men, successful men, men with depth, with humor, with everything a woman could genuinely want. It happens because nobody ever told them the truth about how feminine attraction actually moves. So let me tell you now, because once you understand this, really understand it, not just intellectually, but somewhere deeper, you will never move through a conversation the same way again. Women do not declare attraction. They never have. Think about every time you have seen a man approach a woman and announce his interest, direct, visible, forward. Now think about how rarely women do the equivalent. It almost never happens, not because women do not feel desire, they feel it deeply, sometimes overwhelmingly, but because the feminine experience of attraction moves in a completely different direction than the masculine one. A man feels drawn to someone and moves toward her openly. A woman feels drawn to someone and becomes careful, thoughtful. She does not announce, she explores. She sends signals carefully designed to be readable only by a man paying close enough attention to catch them, and here is the part that changes everything. If he does not read them, if he misses them, fumbles them, or answers them at face value, she does not try again. She does not offer a second chance to notice. She simply closes that chapter quietly, without drama, without explanation, and moves forward. The door was open once. Now it is not. Women do not re-offer the same emotional invitation twice. Read that again. Let it land before you continue. Now here is what makes this especially critical for men over 50. There is a myth circulating quietly through the minds of mature men, this idea that age has made them invisible, that women have stopped noticing, that desire is somehow a younger man's game now. That myth is completely wrong. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Hiding right beside it, women do not hold older men to the same standard as younger ones. They hold them to a higher one. When a woman encounters a man who has lived 50 or 60 years, she does not think he is probably still figuring himself out. She thinks this man should know who he is by now. She expects depth, stillness, the grounded, unshakable presence that only comes from a man who has done the inner work that decades of real living demands. So when a mature man misses her signals, when he fumbles her questions or answers the surface instead of the soul, it does not just disappoint her. It disillusions her. She expected more. She expected a man fully inhabiting himself, and instead she found absence wearing the mask of politeness. That gap between what she hoped for and what she received is the exact place where attraction dies. So what does she actually do when she is drawn to you? She tests, not cruelly, not manipulatively. She tests the way a person tests ice before stepping onto a frozen lake, carefully, with everything at stake, reading every signal before committing her full weight. And her tests come disguised as questions, not interrogations, not obvious loaded questions. Questions that sound like casual conversation. Questions so natural that a man not paying deep attention will answer them and move on, never realizing what just slipped through his hands. There are two of these questions that appear again and again across cultures, across ages, across every kind of woman you can imagine. Two questions that surface almost inevitably when a woman is quietly deciding whether to open herself emotionally to a man. I am going to give you both, and I am going to tell you exactly what they mean, why they matter, and how to answer in a way that makes her feel something she has been quietly searching for. But first, you need to understand the psychology driving them, because knowing the questions without understanding what fuels them is like having a key without knowing which door it opens. Here is the psychological truth beneath all of it. When a woman is considering getting emotionally closer to a man, she is running a quiet internal calculation. Not consciously, not deliberately, but somewhere beneath every conversation, every glance, every small shared moment, she is answering one central question for herself: is it safe to want him? Not physically safe, emotionally safe. Safe meaning, if I lean toward this man, will he catch me or will I fall? If I let him see more of me, will he treat what he finds with care? If I invest my vulnerability into this, will it mean something or will I disappear again? This is what drives every subtle signal a woman sends, every question that sounds harmless but carries enormous weight beneath the surface. She is not playing games, she is protecting something precious, and the only way she can do that without making her interest obvious is to ask questions that reveal everything about a man without him ever realizing he is being read. When you truly understand that, those two questions stop feeling like small talk forever. They become exactly what they are: invitations wrapped in ordinary words. The first question, you are talking with her. The conversation has warmth, that particular quality that feels different from ordinary exchange, where something is building beneath the surface. She is engaged, present, and then she tilts her head slightly and asks, almost like it just occurred to her, do you spend a lot of time alone? Pause. Everything just shifted. Most men do not feel it, but it happened. That question is not about your schedule, not about introversion, not about your social life or how you spend your weekends. It is about access. What she is actually asking, the question beneath the question, is this: is there room for me in your world? She has already, without fully admitting it to herself, pictured herself somewhere near your life, not dramatically, just a quiet imagining. What would it feel like to be closer to this man? And now she needs to know whether that closeness is even possible, whether your life has emotional space in it, whether you are sealed inside your routines, or whether you are still open, still reachable, still warm enough to let someone genuinely in. Women sense emotional unavailability before they can name it. They feel the wall. And the moment they sense it, they do not push against it, they simply redirect quietly, without announcement, without giving you any signal that something just ended between you. So when she asks if you spend a lot of time alone, she is shining a small light directly into your eyes. She wants to feel openness, warmth, the quiet signal that says there is room here and the right person would be welcomed. Here is what kills the moment instantly. Yeah, I'm pretty much a loner. Not really, I stay pretty busy. It depends on the week. Every one of those answers addresses the surface and completely ignores the real question underneath. The first signals a closed door. The second sounds like deflection. The third says nothing at all. And she walks away from each of them with the same quiet conclusion: he is not available for what I was hoping. The man who understands what she is truly asking responds from a completely different place: calm, unhurried, grounded in himself. He says something like, I enjoy my own company, but I'm always open to someone who makes the room feel better, or I've built a life I love being in. I'm selective about who I share it with in the best possible way. Feel that difference? That answer tells her everything she needed without oversharing a single detail. You are not desperate, not empty, not a man clinging to whoever comes near because solitude has made you starving. But you are also not a fortress. You are selective, warm, open in a way that feels like a genuine invitation extended only to someone worth inviting. That answer plants something in her, a quiet, lit possibility. And almost always it leads her directly to the second question, the one that decides everything. She might ask it in the same conversation or wait until the next time you speak, but once that first flicker of possibility is alive in her, she will find a way to ask it, because this second question is how she makes her final decision. Whether to open the door completely or close it permanently, she will look at you perhaps more directly this time and ask, what are you looking for these days? 3 seconds of silence, because if you felt that land the way it was meant to, then you already understand that everything that follows depends on how you answer. This is not small talk. A woman does not ask a man what he is looking for unless she is already quietly imagining herself as a possible answer. This question costs her something. It is vulnerable even when she phrases it casually. She is not asking about your career, your plans, or your timeline. She is asking, are you emotionally alive? Are you a man moving through this chapter of life with intention, direction, and a genuine sense of what matters? Or are you drifting through old stories waiting for life to happen to you? Because women understand something deeply: a man without direction has no gravity, and a woman cannot build emotional safety around a man she cannot feel the weight of. She might enjoy his company, she might genuinely like him, but she will not open to him in the deep, unguarded way real intimacy requires. That intimacy demands she trust his steadiness, his sense of self, and you cannot trust the steadiness of a man who is floating through his own life without a center. This is where many men lose everything in a single sentence. They answer honestly, but without realizing the emotional message behind their words. Honestly, I'm just taking it one day at a time. I've stopped making plans. Not really sure, just seeing what comes. Each of those answers communicates the same thing: drift. And women do not follow drift, they follow direction. A grounded answer sounds different. Something like, I'm building something quieter and more intentional now, less noise, more depth, or real connection to people who truly see each other. Or simply, I'm moving toward what actually matters. These answers do not perform, they reveal presence. And when a woman already leaning toward you hears that, something inside her relaxes because it matches what she has been hoping to find. Women do not test men for entertainment. They test because vulnerability is expensive. Opening emotionally carries real risk, the risk of being unseen, dismissed, or misunderstood. So she sends signals subtle enough to be deniable. If he misses them, she can pretend they were never sent and her dignity remains protected, but she only sends those signals once. So the next time you feel that quiet warmth in a conversation with a woman, slow down, listen beneath the words. When she asks about your time, she is asking about openness. When she asks what you want, she is asking about direction. When she asks how you are, she is asking whether there is a real man behind the politeness. Attraction later in life is not about performance. It is about presence, the calm, grounded certainty of a man who knows who he is and is open to something real. Those two questions: do you spend a lot of time alone? And what are you looking for these days? Are not casual conversation. They are invitations wrapped in ordinary words, and the only thing that matters in that moment is whether you are present enough to hear what she is really asking.